Hello and welcome to this nutrition lesson on the two groups of protein and dairy. My name is Marlene Beachy, and as we've been learning, we need to eat foods, a wide variety of foods every day from every food group in moderation, focusing on vegetables and whole plant foods. So here's two more groups of food we're going to cover, and we're wanting to get all of the nutrients that our bodies need to support good health, and those are fiber and fats and vitamins and minerals and proteins and carbohydrates. So let's begin by looking at the protein group. The protein and dairy groups both provide us with the most proteins and fats for our dietary intake of all the food groups. So those are the main two contributions, fats and proteins, and that's why the foods are in these two groups. We're going to begin by looking at the fats, which both dairy and protein provide for us. So on the nutrition facts panel, you may have remembered from a previous lesson that we did, we were looking at how it labels the total fat of a product, and underneath fat it has saturated fat and trans fat, and these are the two fats that we want to be avoiding as we choose what kinds of protein we are consuming, because protein is often accompanied by fat, or even if we're just choosing straight fats, what that is like. So on this label, again, I pointed out that the trans fats are 0 and the saturated fats are 0.5 gram, but the total fat is 4.5. So the other 4 grams are actually the healthy fats that you want. So this would actually be a pretty good choice. And we know that in general, this is not a significant contribution of fat to our daily value of intakes, because it's only 6% of the daily value. Remember the 5-20 rule: if it's less, that is 5% or less, it's not very significant. If it's 20% or more, it is significant. If it's in between, then it contributes, which is awesome, but it's not super significant. And this is only 6%, so it's a pretty low fat product. There's no requirement to post any other kind of fat other than saturated and trans fats. You will always find that on the manufacturer's labels of processed or packaged foods that are in the stores. If it has the good fats in it, sometimes the manufacturer will add that because they know some people are looking for that, but there's no requirement for this. You have to sort that out by reading the ingredients on the label, and by just kind of looking here at, like, well, how much of that fat really is saturated and trans and how much is not. So I hope that's helpful as you kind of sort through, what do I buy here? How do I do this? So why do we want to avoid the saturated and the trans fats? It's because those are the kinds of fats that contribute to coronary heart disease. And in general, those kind of fats are found in animal sources. So as we look at protein foods, a lot of our protein foods are from animals. But we could also get protein from plant foods, and we'll talk more about this a little bit. So if you're looking at the protein group and you're thinking, what do I choose? As much as you can, move towards choosing the whole plant foods of the legumes and the nuts and the seeds. Those are really good sources of protein as well as fat. So moving back into talking a little bit more about fat, the other thing I want to share is there are really good plant sources of fat, and they aren't always in the protein group, but they are very good sources of healthy fats for us. And those are olives and coconut, peanuts, avocados, and nuts and seeds. Those are all plant foods that supply healthy fats for us. And it's best if you can eat those as whole plant foods. So eating an olive is much better than eating olive oil, or eating flaked coconut would be much better than eating coconut oil. So look to try to get the fats in your diet from the whole plant food rather than from the extracted oils. Partly why that is important is because when the oils are extracted from the foods, they are often chemically extracted, so you are getting some chemicals with that oil. The oil is often refined, so again, it loses a lot of its vitamins or minerals that might be present there along with the fat. And it's a really concentrated source of calories without many other nutrients with it. It's just pure fat when it's an extracted oil. However, it can be a healthy oil, but you want to be minimizing the amount of fat and oil that you have in your diet. If you eat it in the whole food, if you get your fat source through the whole food, then you're getting fat, but it still has all of the nutrition that's good around it retained, and it hasn't been refined or over processed. It hasn't had any chemicals added. You're just eating it the way it's been created to be eaten, and in the synergy with the other nutrients in that food for your body to be able to assimilate it and use it well. Just an aside, here's a couple of other ideas for reducing extracted fat from your diet. If you're making your own dressings for your salads at home, you could substitute water for the oil. If the recipe calls for oil in a salad dressing, you can use water instead, and that greatly reduces the calories and the fat in that product. Another idea is if you are baking and it calls for half a cup of oil in cookies or cakes, you can actually substitute unsweetened applesauce for that. Try it. It might work in your recipe just fine, and you would never miss the oil, and it greatly reduces the calories, and it ups your vitamin and mineral intake. You're adding some fruits into your diet. The other thing that you can sometimes substitute for oil in a recipe are mashed beans. In particular, mashed white beans have the least amount of flavor, but you could also use black beans or any beans that you have. So even look for, so there are now a lot of recipes being developed where they use beans in the recipe because it adds protein, it adds fiber, it adds vitamins and minerals, where if it's just oil, it's just basically adding calories and some good fats, but you can get those good fats by eating whole plant foods. You don't need to be adding in pure oil into your diet to get as much as what you need. You need to be upping your whole plant foods and your vegetables. So why are proteins and fat important for us? They give us energy. They help us to feel satisfied when we're eating. They are important for building and repairing muscles and other tissues in our body, and they contribute to a strong immune system. They are very important. But again, if we don't eat the right sources of fat, then we are contributing to coronary heart disease. So be really careful with the kind of fats that you choose to eat. How much protein and fat do we need each day? Women in general need 5 servings and men need 6 servings. So what is a serving? So here's some common servings. 1 egg would be considered 1 serving of protein. We don't need to consider fat. We just get enough fat in our diet. But we just need to consider the kinds of fat that we're eating. And so there's no recommendation for a number of servings of fat. So we're just going to talk about protein here. So 1 serving of protein from the protein group would be 1 egg or 1 small steak or a 4-ounce hamburger. And think of like how big a pound of hamburger is and divide that 4 ways, and that is 1 serving of protein for you. Some other protein sources that would be a non-meat source would be a tablespoon of peanut butter or 2 tablespoons of nuts, of just peanuts. And so I want to show you what 2 tablespoons of peanuts looks like. And I'm just going to measure it in hand because often you might grab a handful of peanuts if you're hungry for a snack. So, and you can try this too. Just measure out 2 tablespoons of peanuts and put it in your hand and get a feel for, oh, if I grab that many peanuts, that's going to be 2 tablespoons of peanuts. So it's like a small handful. It's a good amount. It's a good amount. Okay, I also have here 2 tablespoons of walnuts. Walnuts are another very good source of protein and fats that are healthy for us. Again, 2 tablespoons of walnuts looks about like that. You can kind of just comfortably close your hand over it. That's 2 tablespoons. So you can think of, when you see that, you can kind of figure out, I'm probably eating 1 serving of protein and getting a good source of fat. It's a whole plant food. All right, another source of protein, which is excellent for us, are beans. And beans give us a lot of fiber. These are actually northern beans that I've cooked, and so it still has a lot of the sauce, the juice on it. I cook it down and then it gets kind of like a gravy, but it's just beans and water, and it cooks down into kind of looking like gravy and beans. These northern beans are actually a really good source of calcium, as well as fiber, as I mentioned, as well as protein. It's a whole plant food. It's an excellent source. So as you remember from another couple other lessons, we had a plate of an apple, 1 cup of carrots, again, 1 cup of vegetables is considered 1 serving, and we add a half a cup of rice, which a half a cup is considered 1 serving in the grain group. And I want to show you that plate. And I've also added 1 tablespoon of peanut butter, which you could eat with your apple if you choose to. And I want to add this 1/4 cup of beans to the rice. So you can kind of see, I hope it all will come out here. We'll see if I can shake it out. Okay, so there is a well-rounded plate of food for a meal. 1 apple, 1 cup of carrots, a tablespoon of peanut butter, which is 1 serving of protein and a good source of fat. You could eat that with your apple. And here is a 1/4 cup of beans and a half a cup of cooked rice. Excellent. And how does that compare to my plate? Pretty good. Grains and protein, fruits and vegetables. The only thing missing is dairy, and that's what we will look at next. Before we move there, though, I want to talk just a little bit more about choosing animal foods for your protein source. So here are some things to consider if you're going to choose to eat meat for proteins. Because animal fat is saturated and it's the kind of fat we want to minimize. When you're choosing meat, choose lean cuts of meat where it should be less fat. And as you prepare the meat, if there's any fat that cooks out of it, drain the fat off. You do not need to be eating that fat. So choose lean cuts of beef and chicken and pork and seafood. To choose a lean seafood, choose the light colored, the white colored seafood. Also, be aware that seafood may contain heavy metals, so you don't want to eat seafood every day, all the time, a lot of it. Be careful with it, but you could eat some and still benefit from it. You could also choose to eat turkey and deer meat. If there's someone that you know that hunts deer here in southern Indiana and you like deer meat, it's actually probably a fairly healthy choice for protein because it is low in fat. It's a very lean meat, and also it has not had any antibiotics or hormones added to that deer before you choose to eat the meat from the deer. Whereas the meat that you buy in the grocery store, often those animals have been treated with hormones and antibiotics during their life. So read the label if you're choosing to eat meat from the store. It may say hormone-free or antibiotic-free. That's important. Those hormones and antibiotics from the animals can mess with your hormone balance and with your systems. So just try to move away from antibiotics and hormones that have been added to the animals' lives. The processor probably will not put on added hormones and antibiotics. The best you can hope for is that it would say hormone or antibiotic free. And so far there's no labeling regulation on that. Maybe there will be someday, and you could find out by reading the label. But for now, that's about all we can find from the label. Also, you can choose to bake the meat instead of frying it. That's very important. That will reduce the amount of fat that you would be taking in that's saturated. Okay, so let's move to the dairy group. So the dairy group is also an important source of protein for us. It also will contribute fat. But it's an animal. Dairy, the foods in the dairy group come from the cow, and a cow is an animal, so all of the fat in milk is also considered an animal fat, which is high in saturated fat, and we want to minimize that. So if you're eating high-fat dairy foods such as butter or sour cream or cream cheese or cream in your coffee, or whipped cream, those kinds of foods cannot be counted towards a serving in the dairy group. They're too high in fat and too low in calcium, which is an important mineral that the dairy foods provide, is calcium as well as some potassium, and then most dairy foods have been enriched with vitamin D. There are other ways to get this if you're allergic to milk, to cow's milk, or if you just choose not to eat any dairy foods. There are other ways to get that. As I said before, northern beans are high in calcium. Collard greens and spinach are also high in calcium, and they will also provide some protein. And you could choose to have almond milk or soy milk. Those are a good source of protein, as well as, usually you have to read the label, but usually those are also fortified with vitamin D, just like dairy milk is fortified with vitamin D. And one of the advantages of that is that actually vitamin D and calcium work together for building strong bones and teeth. So that is important. Mushrooms is about the only plant source of vitamin D. And we know that we get vitamin D from sunshine, but it's hard to be in the sun long enough to get the amount of vitamin D that we need each day, especially in the winter months. You can also get vitamin D through fortified cold cereals. Again, you have to read the label. The vitamin D that you get from most foods has been added, but it's an important vitamin for our immune system, as well as for absorbing the calcium and using the calcium to build strong bones and teeth. For men and women, it's recommended 3 servings a day from the dairy group. And so what's one serving? So one serving would be 1 cup of milk or 1 cup of yogurt. And again, you need to watch the yogurt containers. Some of them are 8 ounces, which is 1 cup, and some of them are smaller. 2 slices of cheese would be equivalent to 1 serving. However, something to be aware of with cheese is actually a very concentrated source of the milk product. And so any hormones or antibiotics that cow was given during its life that has come through in the milk has been concentrated then into the cheese. So just kind of think about that and be aware of that as you're eating cheese. You might want to choose dairy milks that are labeled low fat, excuse me, or skim, or maybe choose the non-dairy milk, as we said before, almond milk or soy milk or rice milk, coconut milk. Some dairy foods are labeled fat-free, and that's fine. That actually would be avoiding the fat, saturated fat, which is excellent. Okay, I think that covers all that I wanted to share with you today about the protein group and fats and the dairy foods. So again, if you have any questions or concerns or ideas or interests, please share them on the Facebook group and we can learn together. Thank you for joining us, and until we meet again, happy healthy eating to you and your loved ones.